The universe of Warhammer 40,000 is one defined by war, resilience, and an unending struggle for survival. Among the countless factions and forces within the Imperium of Man, few evoke as much grim respect and awe as the Death Korps of Krieg. To outsiders, Krieg represents the epitome of duty and sacrifice, a force so steeped in self-denial and loyalty to the Emperor that it seems almost inhuman. But can such dedication truly make Krieg the Imperium's most effective weapon? To address this question, one must first understand the broader context of the Imperium's challenges. The galaxy is a vast and hostile place, filled with alien races, heretical uprisings, and chaotic forces beyond comprehension. Humanity teeters on the edge of annihilation, relying on sheer numbers, faith, and the might of its militaristic machine to maintain its fragile existence. It is in this grim tableau that the Death Korps of Krieg stands out, a force born from ashes and shaped by a relentless will to atone for past sins. Krieg is not just another regiment of the Astra Militarum. Its soldiers are raised with a singular purpose: to serve, fight, and die without question. Their world is one of ceaseless war, where life is a currency spent freely in the name of the Emperor. But what drives this fanatical devotion? What fuels their unyielding effectiveness in battle, and what sacrifices have been made to achieve it? These questions are vital to understanding whether Krieg truly embodies the pinnacle of the Imperium's martial power, or if their methods and legacy bear a cost too great to bear. As we unravel the tale of the Death Korps, we will journey through their history, their role in the Imperium, and the unique traits that define them. Along the way, we will explore the philosophical and practical implications of their existence. Are they a triumph of human ingenuity and resolve, or a haunting reminder of the depths to which the Imperium is willing to descend? The story of Krieg is not merely one of war. It is a testament to the lengths humanity will go to ensure its survival, no matter the price. Through their sacrifice and steadfast loyalty, Krieg has become a symbol of unyielding strength in the face of overwhelming odds. But as we delve deeper into their legacy, one must wonder, can such unflinching devotion truly be the Imperium's greatest weapon, or is it a harbinger of something far darker? The Death Korps of Krieg beckons us to explore the very nature of effectiveness in a galaxy where morality is a luxury and survival is the only goal. Let us now set the stage to uncover the truth of their place within the Imperium's vast arsenal. The Death Korps of Krieg stands at the forefront of this discussion, a regiment within the Astra Militarum known for its unparalleled dedication to the Emperor and its relentless efficiency in warfare. The soldiers of Krieg are not born into normal lives, but bred for war, raised in conditions that forge their unbreakable resolve and unquestioning loyalty. They are not merely infantrymen, they are a tool of brutal precision and sacrificial determination. Their purpose is singular: to execute the will of the Imperium no matter the cost. Supporting this force is the High Command of the Astra Militarum, whose strategic oversight determines the deployment of Krieg regiments. This governing body sees Krieg as a valuable resource in its endless campaign to protect humanity. Their role involves directing Krieg forces to the most grueling and unwinnable battles, where their exceptional tenacity is most needed. The High Command views Krieg not as individuals, but as a collective weapon, a blunt instrument to be wielded against humanity's enemies. Another critical participant is the Departmento Munitorum, the vast bureaucratic engine responsible for equipping, supplying, and sustaining the Imperium's armies. Krieg's unique nature requires special provisions: mass-produced trench warfare equipment, specialized rebreathers to counter the toxic environments they often fight in, and the logistical framework to support their overwhelming numbers. The Departmento Munitorum ensures that the Death Korps remains an unyielding tide of soldiers and material even under the most extreme conditions. The Adeptus Mechanicus plays a vital role as the supplier of the Death Korps' advanced technology. The Mechanicus provides the siege engines, artillery, and tanks that define Krieg's approach to warfare. These machines, while not unique to Krieg, are often modified to suit the regiment's grueling and attritional methods. The collaboration between Krieg and the Mechanicus ensures a seamless integration of manpower and mechanized might, creating an unstoppable force designed to grind down any opposition. The Inquisition also intersects with Krieg, though their relationship is more indirect. The fanatical loyalty and unquestioning obedience of Krieg's soldiers make them ideal candidates for tasks that require absolute discretion and commitment. Though rarely acknowledged, the Inquisition has been known to utilize Krieg regiments for missions where the stakes are highest and failure is not an option. On the battlefield, Krieg operates in tandem with other Astra Militarum regiments, creating a layered approach to warfare. While Krieg focuses on grinding down the enemy through attrition and overwhelming firepower, other regiments bring flexibility, mobility, and specialized skills to the fight. Together, they form a cohesive force capable of addressing the myriad threats faced by the Imperium. The Commissariat is another critical player in Krieg's operations. Commissars are embedded within the ranks to ensure discipline and morale, though their role in Krieg differs from other regiments. Given the innate obedience of Krieg's soldiers, Commissars often act more as liaisons between Krieg and the larger Astra Militarum structure than as enforcers of loyalty. Still, their presence underscores the importance of maintaining order within even the most disciplined forces. Finally, the enemies of the Imperium serve as an unrelenting counterpoint to the Death Corps of Krieg. These adversaries, whether alien, heretical, or chaotic, are the reason for Krieg's existence. They are not merely foes, but catalysts that shape the Corps' methods and ethos. Without the constant threat posed by these forces, Krieg would have no purpose, and the Imperium would lose one of its most dependable tools in its fight for survival. These key players, both within and outside of the Imperium, define the framework within which Krieg operates. Their collective roles and interactions shape the Death Corps into the force it has become, setting the stage for a deeper exploration of their methods, sacrifices, and the brutal effectiveness they bring to the endless wars of the 41st millennium. The origins of Krieg's transformation into the Imperium's most unyielding weapon can be traced to the political and environmental collapse of their homeworld. Once a thriving hive world, Krieg descended into turmoil due to the internal corruption of its ruling elite and growing discontent among its population. This unrest culminated in a catastrophic rebellion that sought to overthrow the imperial rule and declare independence. Such treachery was an affront to the Imperium's core tenets, marking the planet as a symbol of heresy that could not be tolerated. This rebellion, however, did not occur in isolation. The seeds of dissent had been sown long before the uprising, stemming from centuries of mismanagement and resource exploitation. The planet's rulers, while nominally loyal to the Imperium, had allowed greed and ambition to fester. Their governance created a stark divide between the privileged elite and the oppressed masses, fostering an environment ripe for sedition. Over time, these fractures widened, eventually erupting into full-scale insurrection. The conflict quickly escalated beyond political upheaval. The rebellious factions seized control of key hive cities and industrial sectors, utilizing the planet's vast resources to consolidate their power. This posed a significant threat to the Imperium, not only due to the strategic value of Krieg, but also because the rebellion could inspire similar uprisings across other worlds. In response, the Imperium declared Krieg a lost cause, an example to be made of, and prepared to enact extreme measures to reclaim it. The ensuing devastation was not solely the result of the rebellion itself, but also of the Imperium's chosen method of dealing with it. Faced with the planet's defiance, the Loyalist forces initiated a Scorched Earth campaign, leading to the deployment of weapons that rendered the planet uninhabitable. This deliberate act of annihilation was not intended to merely subdue the rebellion. It was a calculated statement to the wider galaxy about the price of betrayal. The destruction of Krieg's environment forced its population into a new and brutal existence. The survivors, Hardened by years of warfare and the harsh conditions of their toxic world, were forever changed. This transformation was not immediate, but evolved over generations, driven by the need to adapt and survive. The once prosperous hive cities became fortresses, their inhabitants trained from birth to endure hardship and obey orders without question. As Krieg's population rebuilt under these extreme circumstances, their society was reshaped around a single purpose: atonement. They viewed their suffering as a penance for the sins of rebellion, a belief that became ingrained in their collective psyche. This ethos of repentance laid the foundation for the Death Korps' unwavering loyalty and readiness to sacrifice themselves in the name of the Emperor. The events on Krieg also prompted changes within the broader Imperium. The rebellion and subsequent response highlighted the need for a regiment that could endure the harshest conditions and execute orders with unflinching resolve. The planet's survivors, molded by their trials, were seen as the perfect candidates for such a role. Over time, Krieg became synonymous with relentless warfare, its regiments deployed to the most unforgiving battlefields as living embodiments of the Imperium's ruthlessness. This legacy of destruction, survival, and rebirth established the framework for Krieg's role within the Imperium. The rebellion's consequences extended far beyond the planet itself, shaping not only the Death Korps, but also the Imperium's approach to loyalty, punishment, and the brutal necessities of war. It was this crucible of suffering that forged Krieg into the symbol of sacrifice and efficiency it is known as today, setting the stage for their prominence in the Imperium's eternal struggle. The transformation of Krieg into one of the Imperium's most formidable tools unfolded over a series of critical and grueling developments. These events not only reshaped the planet, but also established its enduring legacy as a relentless force of war. The rebellion that shattered Krieg began with coordinated uprisings across its hive cities, plunging the world into chaos. Loyalist factions, though initially outnumbered and outmaneuvered, managed to consolidate their strength in key strongholds. The fighting was brutal and prolonged, with both sides employing the full might of Krieg's industrial capacity. The use of trench warfare, artillery barrages, and chemical weaponry became defining features of the conflict, marking a shift in the nature of war on the planet. The scale of destruction was unprecedented, reducing much of Krieg to a desolate wasteland. The Imperium's decision to isolate Krieg by declaring it a lost world forced the Loyalists to take drastic measures. Unable to rely on external reinforcements, they turned to desperate tactics, culminating in the deployment of weapons that rendered the planet uninhabitable. This act ensured that neither side could claim a definitive victory, effectively resetting the conflict to one of survival rather than conquest. Over time, the rebellious factions succumbed to attrition, disease, and the harsh environment, while the Loyalists emerged as the dominant force. In the aftermath of the rebellion, Krieg's survivors faced the daunting task of rebuilding their world. The planet's surface, scarred by nuclear and chemical fallout, became a crucible in which its people were forged anew. The survivors adopted a philosophy of total war, viewing every aspect of life as preparation for service to the Imperium. This cultural shift marked the beginning of Krieg's transformation into a world solely dedicated to producing soldiers for the Astra Militarum. Krieg's reintegration into the Imperium was not immediate. For decades, the planet remained isolated, its people rebuilding in silence. When contact was finally re-established, the Imperium found a world that had embraced its penitence with fervor. The ruling authorities on Krieg pledged absolute loyalty to the Emperor, offering their planet's entire output to the Imperial war machine. This act of submission was accepted, but not without scrutiny. Krieg's regiments were deployed to some of the harshest battlefields as a test of their worthiness. The performance of the Death Korps in these early campaigns solidified their reputation. Their willingness to endure the most extreme conditions and execute seemingly impossible objectives earned them the trust of the High Command. Over time, Krieg's regiments became synonymous with siege warfare and attritional tactics, filling a critical role in the Imperium's endless conflicts. Their success was not merely a result of their training, but also their unshakable belief in their purpose, which set them apart from other regiments. As the Death Corps' reputation grew, so too did the demands placed upon them. The planet of Krieg became a production line, not only for soldiers, but also for the equipment needed to sustain their relentless campaigns. Each regiment was raised with the understanding that its survival was secondary to achieving its objectives. This ethos became a defining characteristic of Krieg, shaping their approach to warfare and their relationship with the Imperium. The campaigns fought by the Death Corps served as a proving ground for their methods and technology. From the trenches of distant battlefields to the corridors of hive cities under siege, Krieg's regiments demonstrated an unparalleled ability to adapt and endure. Their success was not without cost, as the toll on both manpower and morale was immense. However, this price was seen as a necessary sacrifice, a reflection of Krieg's commitment to atoning for its past sins. Over centuries, Krieg's role within the Imperium evolved from a symbol of redemption to a cornerstone of its military strategy. The world's capacity to produce disciplined and unwavering soldiers became a critical asset, ensuring that the Imperium could continue to fight its countless enemies. This transformation was not without its challenges, but it cemented Krieg's place as one of the most effective and enduring forces in the Imperium's arsenal. The defining moment that cemented Krieg's role as a critical asset to the Imperium came during a pivotal decision made by the planet's leadership in the aftermath of its self-inflicted devastation. This moment was not a battle or an isolated act of heroism, but a collective resolution that reshaped the very identity of Krieg and its people. The decision to dedicate their world entirely to the production of soldiers and the pursuit of redemption marked a turning point not only for Krieg, but also for the wider Imperium. Following the collapse of the rebellion and the near-total annihilation of Krieg's ecosystem, the planet's surviving rulers faced a choice: to rebuild in relative obscurity or to align themselves wholly with the Imperium's needs. The conditions of their world left no room for half measures. With its surface reduced to a toxic wasteland and its population decimated, Krieg could no longer function as a typical hive world. Instead, its leadership adopted a radical strategy, transforming the entire planet into a war machine. This decision was rooted in a combination of pragmatism and ideology. On a practical level, the planet's toxic environment demanded extreme adaptations. Crops would not grow in the irradiated soil, and the air was barely breathable without rebreathers. The only viable path to survival was to channel all remaining resources into the industries of war. Factories were rebuilt not to produce consumer goods, but to churn out weapons, ammunition, and the specialized equipment needed to sustain soldiers on the battlefield. Ideologically, the leadership of Krieg framed this decision as an act of penance. They declared that the planet and its people owed a debt to the Emperor that could only be repaid through unwavering service. This ethos of sacrifice became the foundation of Krieg's culture, shaping every aspect of life on the planet. From birth, every citizen was conditioned to view themselves as expendable in the pursuit of the Imperium's goals. This cultural shift was not imposed by external forces, but emerged organically from the collective guilt of a world that had once turned its back on the Emperor. The turning point came when Krieg's first regiments were offered to the Imperium as a gesture of loyalty. These regiments, raised under the harshest conditions imaginable, were unlike any other forces in the Astra Militarum. Their discipline was absolute, their willingness to face certain death unmatched. The offer of these soldiers was accompanied by a pledge. Krieg would produce regiments at an unprecedented scale, ensuring that the Imperium's endless wars would never lack for manpower. This offer was met with skepticism by the Imperium's authorities, who questioned whether the planet's resources and population could sustain such an ambitious commitment. To prove their worth, Krieg's regiments were deployed to some of the most grueling war zones in the galaxy. The results were undeniable. The soldiers of Krieg excelled in conditions that would break most others, earning a reputation for resilience and efficiency. Their success silenced any doubts about their utility, solidifying their place within the Imperium's military structure. The decision to dedicate Krieg entirely to the service of the Imperium was not without its consequences. It marked the end of any semblance of normalcy on the planet, transforming it into a grim production line for war. The people of Krieg accepted this reality not as a burden, but as a sacred duty. This singular focus on war shaped their identity, creating a culture where loyalty to the Emperor was valued above all else. In hindsight, this pivotal moment stands as the defining point in Krieg's history. It was not merely a response to the rebellion or a reaction to external pressures, but a deliberate choice that redefined the planet's purpose. This decision ensured that Krieg would never again fall into rebellion, binding its people to the Imperium in a way few other worlds could match. More importantly, it laid the foundation for their reputation as one of the Imperium's most effective weapons, a force born of sacrifice and forged in the fires of penance. The integration of Krieg as a vital cog in the Imperium's war machine had profound and far-reaching effects on the galaxy. Their unyielding discipline, unparalleled resolve, and near-limitless capacity to endure suffering reshaped the way the Imperium approached war. While other regiments of the Astra Militarum brought unique strengths to the battlefield, the Death Corps of Krieg became synonymous with attritional warfare, offering a level of reliability that many other forces could not match. One of the most significant impacts of Krieg's emergence was the ability of the Imperium to wage wars of prolonged duration. The Death Corps' readiness to commit to grueling, drawn-out campaigns without regard for casualties allowed the Imperium to withstand sieges and conflicts that might have otherwise ended in failure. Their unwavering resolve to see objectives through to completion, regardless of cost, provided the Imperium with a psychological and strategic advantage. Enemy forces, whether alien or heretical, often found themselves unable to match the sheer persistence of Krieg's regiments, leading to crucial victories that safeguarded humanity's survival. The presence of Krieg on the battlefield also altered the strategies employed by Imperial High Command. The reliability of the Death Corps enabled military planners to assign them to the most daunting objectives, knowing that their soldiers would not falter. This allowed other regiments to focus on specialized tasks, such as flanking maneuvers or rapid assaults, while Krieg's forces anchored the front lines. This strategic flexibility gave the Imperium an edge in coordinating multi-regiment campaigns, ensuring that even the most complex operations had a higher chance of success. The cultural and symbolic impact of Krieg extended beyond the battlefield. Their reputation for absolute loyalty and self-sacrifice became a rallying point for the Imperium's propaganda efforts. Krieg was held up as an example of what humanity could achieve through unwavering faith and dedication to the Emperor. This narrative inspired other regiments and civilian populations, reinforcing the Imperium's ethos of sacrifice in the face of adversity. In times of crisis, the mention of Krieg alone was often enough to bolster morale among Imperial forces and sow fear among their enemies. Krieg's industrial contributions to the Imperium also played a pivotal role in its broader war efforts. The planet's focus on war production ensured a steady supply of equipment, weapons, and munitions, alleviating some of the logistical strain on the Departamento Munitorum. This self-sufficiency made Krieg an invaluable asset, as its ability to support its regiments without significant external assistance allowed the Imperium to allocate resources elsewhere. In a galaxy where supply lines were often disrupted by warp storms or enemy interference, this reliability was a critical advantage. Despite their effectiveness, the reliance on Krieg came with consequences that reverberated throughout the Imperium. Their approach to warfare, centered on attrition and sacrifice, influenced how wars were fought on a larger scale. Some critics within the Imperium argued that the widespread use of Krieg regiments encouraged a dehumanizing view of soldiers as expendable resources. While such criticism was rarely voiced openly, it highlighted the moral and ethical challenges of relying on forces whose methods often blur the line between necessity and excess. Furthermore, Krieg's impact on the Imperium extended to its enemies. Alien races, chaos factions, and heretical insurgents came to recognize the Death Korps as a unique and terrifying adversary. Their methods, which prioritized victory at any cost, forced enemies to adapt or face annihilation. The psychological effect of facing a force that viewed death as an inevitability rather than a deterrent often disrupted enemy strategies and morale. For many foes, the arrival of Krieg signaled an unrelenting campaign that would not end until they were utterly destroyed. In the broader galactic context, Krieg's role as an effective weapon underscored the Imperium's capacity to endure even in the face of overwhelming odds. Their success served as a reminder that humanity, despite its many flaws, could still produce forces capable of standing against the galaxy's horrors. However, it also highlighted the fragility of the Imperium's reliance on such extreme measures. The cost of maintaining and deploying Krieg regiments was immense, both in terms of human lives and the resources required to sustain them. The immediate impact of Krieg's emergence as a cornerstone of the Imperium's military might was both undeniable and multifaceted. While their contributions bolstered the Imperium's ability to wage war, they also raised critical questions about the price of such effectiveness and the long-term implications for humanity's survival in an unforgiving galaxy. One of the most distinctive aspects of Krieg that sets it apart from other Imperial forces is its approach to war, shaped by its history and the unique circumstances of its existence. Central to this is their relentless focus on attritional warfare, a style that defines their identity and effectiveness. The Death Korps of Krieg are unparalleled in their ability to endure drawn-out conflicts, often in the most hostile environments, relying on tactics that prioritize sheer determination and resourcefulness over finesse or mobility. A hallmark of Krieg's tactical doctrine is their mastery of siege warfare. The regiments of Krieg excel in both offensive and defensive sieges, deploying massive amounts of artillery and constructing extensive trench networks that mirror the toxic, war-ravaged conditions of their homeworld. These trenches are not merely defensive measures, but strategic tools that allow them to control the battlefield, slowly wearing down their enemies through unrelenting bombardments and precise, disciplined assaults. This methodical approach can transform even the most chaotic conflicts into grinding, controlled battles that play to their strengths. Another unique feature of Krieg's forces is their use of chemical and biological warfare. The soldiers of Krieg are equipped with specialized rebreathers and protective gear, making them uniquely suited to operate in environments rendered uninhabitable by such weapons. This capability is a direct result of their homeworld's toxic conditions, where survival demanded the development of advanced protective technologies. On the battlefield, this translates into a willingness to deploy chemical agents to disrupt enemy formations or secure key positions, leveraging their immunity to these hazards as a tactical advantage. The psychological conditioning of Krieg's soldiers is another aspect that draws significant attention and discussion within the fan community. Unlike other Imperial forces, the Death Korps are raised with an unwavering belief in their expendability and an almost fanatical loyalty to the Emperor. This mindset, instilled from birth, eliminates any hesitation or fear of death, making them highly reliable in even the most dire situations. It also raises ethical and philosophical questions about the cost of such conditioning, both for the soldiers themselves and for the Imperium as a whole. Krieg's regiments are also noted for their use of heavy mechanized units and siege engines. While many Astra Militarum forces utilize tanks and artillery, the Death Korps take this to another level, deploying an array of specialized vehicles designed for trench warfare and prolonged sieges. From heavily armored tanks equipped with devastating weaponry to massive artillery platforms capable of reshaping the battlefield, these machines are integral to their strategy. Their ability to integrate these vehicles seamlessly with infantry operations is a testament to their discipline and cohesion as a fighting force. The cloning program on Krieg is a topic of particular fascination and debate. Unlike most Imperial worlds, where recruitment is based on traditional conscription, Krieg relies heavily on the use of cloning to maintain its population and sustain its military output. This approach ensures a steady supply of soldiers, all genetically identical and psychologically conditioned for war. The implications of this method are profound, raising questions about individuality, morality, and the long-term sustainability of such a system. It also underscores the extent to which Krieg has committed itself to the Imperium's war effort, prioritizing efficiency and loyalty above all else. Another point of interest is the cultural and symbolic significance of the Death Korps within the broader Imperium. Their reputation as unflinching warriors who embody the ideals of sacrifice and duty makes them a powerful tool for maintaining morale among other Imperial forces. However, this same reputation also isolates them, as their extreme methods and unwavering focus on war set them apart from more traditional regiments. This duality, admired yet alienated, adds an intriguing layer to their identity and role within the Imperium. The use of battlefield commissars within Krieg regiments is also notable. While commissars are a standard presence across the Astra Militarum, their role in Krieg is distinct. Rather than enforcing discipline through fear or punishment, as is often the case with other regiments, commissars on Krieg function more as intermediaries and coordinators. The soldiers of Krieg require no encouragement to follow orders or remain loyal, allowing commissars to focus on strategic oversight and ensuring the regiment's objectives align with the broader goals of the campaign. In the fan community, discussions about the Death Korps of Krieg often delve into their representation as the ultimate expression of the Imperium's grim ethos. Their unwavering dedication, unique tactics, and the moral questions surrounding their existence make them a subject of both admiration and critique. For many, they symbolize the Imperium's ability to endure no matter the cost, while others view them as a cautionary tale about the extremes to which humanity is driven in its struggle for survival. This duality is part of what makes them such a compelling and enduring topic of discussion. Among the ranks of the Death Korps of Krieg and their surrounding structures, certain individuals stand out as exemplars of their ethos and symbols of their purpose. While Krieg emphasizes collective action and the suppression of individuality, even in such a culture, extraordinary figures have risen to prominence due to their actions, leadership, or the embodiment of Krieg's grim philosophy. One notable figure is the Quartermaster General of Krieg. This individual holds the immense responsibility of overseeing the logistical and operational needs of the Death Korps. While not a frontline commander, their role is critical in ensuring the smooth and efficient deployment of resources. The Quartermaster General's efficiency reflects the regiment's overall dedication to duty, demonstrating an almost machine-like precision in managing the endless flow of troops, ammunition, and war gear. Their strong point lies in their ability to manage vast logistical networks without faltering, even under the most extreme conditions. However, their perspective is entirely utilitarian, seeing soldiers and material as mere assets, which can alienate those outside Krieg who value human life more sentimentally. Another prominent figure is a typical siege marshal, a position unique to the Death Korps due to their specialization in trench warfare and attritional tactics. The siege marshal commands with an iron focus on achieving objectives, no matter the casualties. Their strength lies in their deep understanding of siegecraft, from coordinating massive artillery barrages to timing infantry advances with devastating precision. This tactical brilliance makes them feared by enemies who face their relentless campaigns. However, their weakness is their inflexibility. The siege marshal operates within the rigid framework of Krieg's doctrines, which can sometimes lead to missed opportunities for more dynamic or unconventional strategies. The senior Death Riders commanders are another group of notable figures within the Death Korps. Death Riders are the elite cavalry units of Krieg, and their commanders exemplify the regiment's paradoxical blend of discipline and ferocity. Leading charges against fortified positions or sowing chaos within enemy ranks, these commanders are relentless and fearless, often placing themselves in the thick of battle to inspire their troops. Their strong point is their unparalleled bravery and tactical daring, which can turn the tide of even the most desperate engagements. However, this audacity comes at a cost, as their high-risk maneuvers often lead to heavy losses, including their own lives. In the larger context of Krieg's history, the Lord Commander Militant, who first approved Krieg's full-scale reintegration into the Astra Militarum, is a significant figure. This individual recognized the potential of Krieg's disciplined forces and fought against skepticism within the Imperial hierarchy to ensure their acceptance. Their strength was their ability to see beyond the stigma of Krieg's past and advocate for the regiment as a vital asset. However, their trust in Krieg's methods also contributed to the normalization of its extreme practices, raising questions about the moral implications of their decisions. Commissars assigned to Krieg regiments, while not native to the planet, also leave a lasting impact on its history. These figures, often drawn from other worlds, are tasked with ensuring discipline and loyalty among the ranks. However, within Krieg, their role shifts significantly due to the regiment's inherent obedience. Instead of enforcing morale through fear, these commissars often act as strategic advisors or conduits for communication with other Imperial forces. Their strengths lie in their ability to adapt to Krieg's unique culture and maintain order without disrupting the regiment's rigid structure. Their weakness, however, is their struggle to bridge the cultural divide between Krieg and the rest of the Imperium, often finding themselves isolated and unable to fully relate to their assigned troops. Finally, the tech priests of the Adeptus Mechanicus, who work closely with Krieg's forces, are noteworthy figures. Tasked with maintaining the regiment's vast array of siege engines, tanks, and artillery, these individuals embody the symbiotic relationship between Krieg and the Mechanicus. Their strength lies in their expertise and unflinching dedication to their duties, ensuring that Krieg's war machine functions at peak efficiency. However, their obsession with technology sometimes leads to conflicts with Krieg's pragmatic mindset, particularly when the preservation of sacred machinery is prioritized over operational effectiveness. Each of these figures, whether native to Krieg or external operatives working within its framework, highlights different facets of what makes the Death Corps of Krieg a uniquely effective force. Their qualities, motivations, and challenges not only shape the regiment's identity, but also provide insight into the broader dynamics of the Imperium's military and the cost of maintaining its relentless war effort. The Death Corps of Krieg, as a symbol of unwavering sacrifice and brutal efficiency, has long been a subject of speculation and debate among scholars, tacticians, and fans of the Warhammer 40,000 universe. Despite their reputation, several unresolved questions and contentious theories surround their role in the Imperium and the implications of their existence. One of the most debated topics is whether the sheer expendability of Krieg's forces undermines their long-term effectiveness. The soldiers of Krieg are bred and conditioned to view themselves as replaceable components of the war machine, but this raises questions about the sustainability of such a system. Can a society that relies so heavily on attrition maintain its population and resources indefinitely? While Krieg's use of cloning helps address this, the moral and logistical limits of such practices remain unclear, leaving room for speculation about whether their approach will eventually lead to diminishing returns. Another significant point of contention revolves around the ethical implications of Krieg's reliance on mass-produced soldiers with suppressed individuality. Many argue that the Death Corps epitomizes the dehumanization inherent in the Imperium's war machine, reducing human lives to mere statistics in an endless conflict. This has led to broader discussions about the nature of loyalty and whether Krieg's soldiers, conditioned to obey without question, can truly embody the ideals of the Emperor, or if they are merely tools devoid of agency. The question of whether Krieg's methods represent the pinnacle of military strategy or a failure of creativity is also a frequent topic of debate. Their reliance on trench warfare, siege tactics, and overwhelming attrition has been effective in many campaigns, but critics argue that these methods are outdated in a galaxy filled with advanced technologies and dynamic enemies. Could a more flexible or innovative approach yield better results? Or is Krieg's brutal efficiency the best option in a universe as unforgiving as the 41st millennium? The mysterious role of Krieg's leadership in shaping its culture and doctrine also invites speculation. While their unwavering dedication to the Imperium is evident, little is known about the internal decision-making processes that govern the Death Korps. Are their leaders fully aligned with the wider goals of the Imperium, or do they harbor unique agendas shaped by Krieg's traumatic history? This lack of transparency fuels theories about potential conflicts between Krieg's leadership and the broader Astra Militarum command structure. Another unresolved question concerns the extent of Krieg's collaboration with the Adeptus Mechanicus. The regiments of Krieg rely heavily on advanced technology to sustain their campaigns, from specialized rebreathers to massive siege engines. However, the depth of their relationship with the Mechanicus and the potential compromises involved remain unclear. Are their technologies unique to Krieg, that the Mechanicus has allowed them to develop independently, or is their reliance on standard patterns indicative of a tighter control by the Mechanicus? This ambiguity raises questions about how much autonomy Krieg truly has within the Imperium. The psychological effects of Krieg's methods on both their own soldiers and their enemies are also subjects of discussion. While the unwavering discipline and loyalty of Krieg's forces are their greatest strengths, the long-term consequences of such conditioning are unknown. Could the relentless suppression of individuality lead to unforeseen vulnerabilities within their ranks? Similarly, while their presence often demoralizes enemies, there are instances where the sheer predictability of their tactics has allowed adversaries to develop countermeasures. This balance between strength and weakness remains an open question. The cultural isolation of Krieg within the Imperium is another topic of interest. While their contributions to the Astra Militarum are undeniable, their extreme methods and unique culture often alienate them from other regiments and imperial institutions. This raises questions about how effectively they can integrate into broader campaigns that require collaboration with more conventional forces. Are they a model for the future of the Imperium's military, or an anomaly that highlights the limitations of such an approach? Finally, there is the broader philosophical question of whether Krieg's existence is a necessary evil or a cautionary tale. As a regiment born from betrayal and shaped by self-imposed penance, they embody the extremes of the Imperium's ideology. But does their effectiveness justify the cost, both in human terms and in the values they represent? This debate touches on the core of what it means to serve the Imperium, and whether the sacrifices demanded by its survival are ultimately sustainable or self-destructive. These unanswered questions and ongoing debates reflect the complexity of Krieg's role within the Imperium. They are both a testament to humanity's resilience and a stark reminder of the brutal realities of the 41st millennium, leaving room for endless speculation about their ultimate place in the galaxy. The long-term impact of the Death Korps of Krieg on the Imperium and the galaxy extends far beyond the battlefield. As a symbol of relentless sacrifice and unyielding duty, their existence shapes the Imperium's identity and strategy. However, the implications of relying so heavily on Krieg's methods raise questions about the future of humanity in a galaxy defined by endless war. One potential outcome is the normalization of attritional warfare on a galactic scale. Krieg's success in grinding down enemies through sheer persistence could inspire other Imperial worlds to adopt similar strategies. While effective in the short term, this shift may lead to an even greater emphasis on dehumanization and expendability within the Astra Militarum. The Imperium's increasing reliance on such tactics risks alienating populations on less militarized worlds, where the cost in lives could be seen as excessive and unsustainable. The influence of Krieg's approach may also lead to changes in recruitment and training practices across the Astra Militarum. The regiment's use of cloning and early life conditioning demonstrates that soldiers can be molded into highly effective instruments of war. If this model were expanded to other worlds, the result could be a more disciplined and loyal military force. However, the loss of individuality and the ethical concerns associated with such methods could create divisions within the Imperium, particularly among those who value traditional human resilience and creativity. Krieg's continued prominence could also shift the balance of power within the Imperium's military hierarchy. As their regiments are deployed to increasingly critical campaigns, their influence on Imperial strategy may grow, leading to tensions with other factions such as the Adeptus Mechanicus or the Ecclesiarchy. These groups, while supportive of Krieg's effectiveness, may view the regiment's methods and culture as a challenge to their own authority or ideals. In a broader sense, Krieg's impact on the Imperium's propaganda and morale cannot be overstated. Their unwavering loyalty and willingness to sacrifice everything for the Emperor provide a powerful narrative that reinforces the Imperium's ideals. This image of steadfast devotion could inspire other Imperial forces and civilian populations, fostering greater unity in the face of galactic threats. On the other hand, the grim realities of Krieg's existence might also lead to disillusionment among those who question the morality of such extreme measures, potentially undermining faith in the Imperium's institutions. Looking to the future, the continued existence of the Death Korps raises practical concerns about resource management and sustainability. Krieg's heavy reliance on advanced technology, specialized equipment, and endless manpower requires significant investment from the Imperium's industrial base. As wars across the galaxy intensify, maintaining such a resource-intensive force could strain the Imperium's already overburdened logistics. This issue may force the Departamento Munitorum to reassess its allocation of resources, potentially leading to conflicts with other regiments or sectors. Krieg's unique culture also poses questions about the long-term stability of its society. While their commitment to atonement and service has sustained them for centuries, the psychological toll of their way of life could lead to unforeseen challenges. Generations of unrelenting war and the suppression of individuality may eventually erode the cohesion of their population, leading to internal crises that threaten their effectiveness. If such issues arise, the Imperium would face the difficult task of addressing them without undermining the regiment's identity. On a more speculative level, the role of Krieg in humanity's broader struggle for survival may change as the galaxy's threats evolve. The rise of enemies with advanced technology, dynamic strategies, or overwhelming numbers could expose the limitations of Krieg's methods, forcing the Imperium to adapt or risk defeat. Alternatively, their unparalleled discipline and resilience could make them the cornerstone of humanity's defense, proving their value in ways yet unseen. The significance of the Death Korps of Krieg extends beyond their immediate contributions to the Imperium's military efforts. They embody the extremes to which humanity can go in the pursuit of survival, raising profound questions about the cost of such measures. Whether their methods and culture will ultimately strengthen or weaken the Imperium remains uncertain, but their legacy will undoubtedly shape the galaxy for millennia to come. Their existence forces the Imperium to confront its own values, priorities, and the price it is willing to pay to endure in an unforgiving universe.